What's up, everybody? It is the Friday show here at Fantasy Alarm. That means it's fun time. It's fun time. We already did all the start sits. We answered all your waiver questions. Today, I bring on a friend of mine. This time, the lovely Bob Harris. And we go through and we hit on the games and just pull all the best matchups out, the very top ones, and we make an FFPC lineup. So I'll explain what that is after a moment. But first, gotta ask Bob, how you doing, man? The football diehard this year over at Football Guys.
Yeah.
Do you feel like a football guy? You've always been a football guy, but do you feel like one of the football guys?
I feel like one of the football guys. This goes back to early in the football guys' day. I was a honorary football guy. I basically designed most of the website when they started in, right around the turn of the century. But also published Joe Bryant's first article back in, I want to say 1996. Worked with David Dodds very closely as well. Back in the day, we would sit there and spend hours on the phone trying to hack into websites and figure out how their technology could be applied to what we wanted to do. David was much better at that than I was, yet we were willing and eager co-conspirators and all that, and had a really great time building some stuff. And just like, back in the day was great. And so early on in Football Guys, some of my content was shared with them as well. So there have been ties all along, and now it feels like, hate the circumstances that brought me here, but love that I had a spot like this to land.
Right. Now, hacking a website in 1996, what did you do? That with like a hammer and chisel? Like a
hacking? No, basically just like looking at the code and figuring out. I mean, back then you used Java applets and things that people no longer use, but were interesting. And so there were sites out there. There were certain sites that were able to cobble together cash registers and things like that we were interested in, how we could at some point monetize our stuff. And so we were looking at everyone's code. I was a pretty good web designer back then, did a lot of really good work with graphics. I came from kind of a graphic design world into this. So there was a lot of that going on. And then, and when I couldn't make money, doing the fantasy stuff, I was designing everybody's website. I designed a lot of the sites for some of the early fantasy companies.
I didn't know that. That's awesome, dude. So much more than just a handsome face that knows ball
like
and music,
there's
right?
a point where so I felt like, if we wanted to really look good as an industry, I could help us all look, we could all look a little more respectable. I did a lot of that kind of work and did a lot of stuff for a lot of people back in the day. So we were all kind of frenemies. We competed, but everyone knew everyone, and we are all kind of like working in the same direction. So it was a good time.
That's awesome, man. That's why probably a big reason why you're a Fantasy Sports Writers Association Hall of Famer.
I just thought it was because I'm too stupid to quit.
They finally, everyone was like, "Geez, just put him in already," But it is unlike the NFL. You don't have to retire. It's like basically if Tom Brady was in the Hall of Fame and still playing, that's Bob Harris to me. So it's awesome to get to work with you. And today we're going to work together. Put together an FFPC team. We're going to answer you guys' questions. Do us a favor if you can. I know some questions are already trickling in, but we'll answer those. Do us a favor. We're going to go through every game on the slate. So if you can hold your question until a player in that game is involved, it really helps with the flow of the show. All right, folks out there. What we're doing is we're hitting on every game this week, and we're pulling up the best matchups. We want the top dogs because in the FFPC lineup, you can use whoever you want. There's no salaries. There's no draft. The only rule is you can't use two guys from the same team, which I kind of like. It kind of eliminates the crazy stacks where like a quarterback throws 4 touchdowns to the same guy and it just blows the slate apart. Like we don't have to worry about that. So that's what we're doing today. Before we get into that, one last question, Bob. What metal band shirt is that? I can never read them.
Oh, this is just a Headbangers Ball. This is just a generic old MTV show. Variously hosted Ricky Rackman, Jamie Josta kind of finished out the run, but it was a great show where if you liked metal music, it was appointment TV for 3 hours or so on Saturday nights.
Yeah, I don't listen to a ton of metal, but I've been listening to this one band, Electric Wizard, lately. You familiar with those guys?
I have heard them. Yes,
okay. I kind of like them. I in honor of you, I did wear a music shirt today.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Not quite metal, but our guy, my favorite band, Notorious B.I.G. So, yeah. All right, let's get into it. Let's hit a couple questions in the chat, and then we'll get right into the games. With McBride being out, took Gesicki off the wire. Heard you guys talking about Elijah Higgins or Hayden Hurst this week. Would you go with Gesicki, kind of a part-time guy, but when he does play, it's wide receiver. It's pretty exclusively. Or would you get cute with a Hayden Hurst in a great matchup or Elijah Higgins doing his best Trey McBride impression. Where do you land on this, Bob?
I'm probably leaning, probably falling in the Gesicki camp somewhere out there. Mike Fiala is shaking his fist at me for even saying the name. But like Higgins, I think, is a fine emergency play if you had no other choice. He's going to get some work. Hurst is interesting. The quarterback issue there. I don't know who's going to play. The Chiefs pretty generous to outlier tight ends the first couple of weeks. Said Isaiah likely and Gesicki. So they buckled down last week though. So Kyle Pitts gained no traction in that one. So I'd probably be fine playing Gesicki against in this one.
If you feel like you need the juice, Higgins has the upside, but he also has the floor of being a guy that we've very rarely ever seen do anything. So just be careful with that. And the really interesting with that matchup, and we'll get to it, is that we're going to find out if the Chargers can just commit to not throwing the football, even when they go up against a team that is going to try and make them. So.
I think the matchup though for Gesicki against Carolina is interesting though. We're envisioning the buzzsaw Panthers coming in. I don't know that team actually exists. It might have been a 1 week anomaly, but I mean, it's going to be better offensively, but are they going to be able to, dominate the game script the way they did in Vegas? I'm not sure.
Yeah, exactly. And I tell you, Vegas doesn't usually they don't get fooled by that stuff. You'll notice that no matter what happens last week, Vegas is still this team is still what they are. So be very careful with that. Always check on that stuff. Should I trade JK, Devontae Adams, and McBride? So this is a large trade for Jordan Mason, Deontay Johnson, and Brock Bowers. Which side of that one you want to be on, Bobby?
Is Dobbins, Adams, and who?
It's on the screen there. It's JK, Devontae, and McBride for Mason, Deontay Johnson, and Brock Bowers. So it's wide receiver, running back, tight end. Wide receiver, running back, tight end.
I'd probably take the second half of that right now.
Right.
We're wondering if there are shelf lives for Mason. We'll see about McCaffrey, but I mean, this is a pretty even trade. Right. I guess if I was on the JK, Devontae, McBride side right now, I wouldn't see a need to do this move.
Exactly. Stick with your guys. If it's there's no reason to trade teams right now, entire teams. Stick with your guys, man.
Yeah, you're shuffling the deck furniture, and you don't really know that the Titanic's sinking. We're only through 3 weeks.
Greg identified the Headbangers Ball shirt and bringing up Rob Zombie. Dig through the ditches and burn through the slam, right?
The best episode was when Grohl did his Probot album, which was like a different metal song with a different metal people. And him and Lemmy did just a raucous tune live on the set. They did a couple tunes live, but great episode.
I'll check that
out.
Grohl
was just drumming, and he drummed with all his metal idols. It was fantastic.
Nirvana style Grohl.
Yeah,
we got. Nice. Hi, Coop and Bob. Oh, we got the Twitch gang in the house. Twitch glasses for the Twitch gang. Who should I flex? Jacobs, Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore, George Pickens.
Not Garrett Wilson.
A matchup.
I do like Pickens a little bit. I'm going Josh Jacobs. I'm going to not overthink this.
Me too. A guy just running for Josh Jacobs is a living proof that maybe PPR, we should tweak the format a little bit because he's running for 150 yards against some of these teams, but not scoring touchdowns yet, not catching a lot of passes. He's like RB 24, despite putting up good work. Well, that question's a good lead into what we're here to do today, which is hit on these actual games. You mentioned Garrett Wilson. You're not doing him this week. That's our first matchup. Broncos at Jets, and we've got Jets favored by 7.5, only a 39.5 game over under. And I'm guessing it's Patrick Surtain that you're scared of, Surtain death.
I'm not scared of him, but he is definitely somebody that the opposing receivers should fear. We've seen Metcalf. Metcalf led the way with 5.9 points. George Pickens shut down. Last week it was Mike Evans shut down. I think we got combined 59 routes. We've got 10 fantasy points on the season. Maybe this is the week that Garrett Wilson exposes him for the fraud he is. That lousy Patrick Surtain too. But I'm not going to play those odds.
The fraud. Careful with those words. I said a little something on Twitter about that, and people were kind of pushing back. But I think you're right, though. The problem with Patrick Surtain for fantasy football is that when he gets beat, he just grabs these guys, right? So it's he's given up 2 penalties a game, massive penalties, and that doesn't help us for fantasy.
Doesn't score us any points.
Right. I posted the numbers. 63. He's allowed 63 yards. He's allowed 84 yards on penalties. But it's like you don't get that.
And they'll move like they tried to move Mike Evans around. He was 35% out of the slot. Wilson's been about 40 out of the slot, so they'll move him around. But Denver plays man, and they're very clutchy grabby in general.
Yeah. So no Broncos. We don't need to use them because
this is not a super flex. If this was a super flex, something I noticed, or just JJ Zacharias noticed it. I noticed it in his data dump. Bo Nix has more fantasy points rushing this year than Justin Fields and Anthony Richardson.
Right. Yeah, he's definitely been sneaky. He's like the new Daniel Jones, right?
Crazy. Yes, exactly.
Sneaky, very, very sneaky.
We need to test him by having him do like a long run and see if he tumbles down and
see if he's top heavy. Dude, imagine non-top heavy Daniel Jones, QB2 on the season. This is not super flex. It is tight end premium, and we will be filling the lineup with four flexes. So
we're going with Tyler Conklin for sure.
No, never okay. Tyler Conklin. Don't you dare. Too early in the show to be dropping Tyler Conklins out there. On the Jets side, though, is there anything? I mean, it's Breece Hall's got to be on the radar, right?
Right. Breece Hall is the playable commodity for me, okay. Right? And we all know Braylon Allen has come on and is getting more of a workload than we expected. I know people are angry about this if they invested in Breece Hall. They shouldn't be. Breece Hall is still getting all his turns and getting all the productions. I know we're greedy. We want every last ounce of it. You're not going to get every last ounce of it, and this is good enough. It was funny a couple of weeks ago, Coop. I was talking like on my daily update podcast, and I kind of like inadvertently said it. Braylon Allen is like maybe a viable, safety valve pick in a timeshare. And as soon as I said that, I said, that's too much. That's too far.
It's a little too much, right?
Yeah. I don't know if it is too much now.
Maybe not.
5 to 10, like 5 to 10 is not, that's a little bit, but still nothing that would keep me from playing Breece Hall. He's got to be under consideration.
Right. And you got to remember that in our minds, the pass catching backs like the Antonio Gibsons or Justice Hills are guys that we like. But the reality, as shown by research done by like Nathan Yonke and these guys, is that like those guys offer no consistency really. Like It is the guys that can kind of on just the second back on good teams that can steal touchdowns sometimes. But enough about this game. Let's move on to the next one. Folks in the chat, we're going to go through every game. So if you ask a question about the game we're talking about, it definitely helps us out as far as the flow of things, and it makes it more likely for us to answer it. For instance, Zig Mover's asking about Breece Hall. We're talking about Breece Hall. We're moving on right now, but Breece Hall, Mike Evans, Laporta on one side, CeeDee Lamb, Derrick Henry, and Kyle Pitts on the other side. So a lot of people trading entire teams right here.
This is not my style of play, right? Like I've invested an entire offseason in creating happy stories about the players I drafted. I would like to see if I get a happy ending for those stories. I don't think any of these stories are close enough or even remotely close enough to resolution or for me to make any decisions on all the things I thought all offseason about a player to move on from them right now.
Exactly. I'm fully with you. Stick with your guys. If Tank sits, I need to start one. Javonte Williams, Rashad White, Romeo Doubs, or Jerry Jeudy. PPR.
Man, I am so anti Jerry Jeudy, and yet still he's in my mind. So Rashad, so maybe you wait until the end of the day and we see what Bucky Irving is. Right? Yes. If Bucky Irving has a questionable designation, or we feel like he's not going to play, it was like a 0 practice Thursday, which is unusual. Right? Like not limited. So he didn't get hurt during practice. It must have happened Wednesday. Or maybe it happened Sunday and he strained it Wednesday or re-aggravated it Wednesday or whatever. So it's a hamstring issue. So watch that today. If there is no Bucky Irving, this is an easy call, Rashad White for me. For sure. And otherwise, Javonte's
does Jordan Love playing move the needle on Romeo Doubs?
Yeah, probably does. That would probably make a difference for me. I think
be it too.
Yeah, I think if Love is in there, Doubs is pretty much the primary, target. So yeah, that would be
And as always, we will see you here on Sunday morning at 11 to noon to answer that question.
Wait a minute. I'll be on the radio. You'll be running off the radio right before I go
on. Call into Bob. Call into SiriusXM first. If you can't get through, jump onto the YouTube show.
Jump onto the YouTube show and keep the Sirius in your AirPod.
Got to. Yeah, just play it. Just play it all the time. Next game here, Bengals-Panthers, 4.5-point favorites. The Bengals are on the road, and a 47-point over-under, which is we like that for fantasy. So if we're going to pull a Bengal from this game, what are you thinking about?
I'm thinking Zach Moss.
Yeah. Let's also we will leave.
I mean, like every week you can play Jamar Chase.
Yeah,
You have my permission, kids.
Go
ahead.
We'll leave. Yeah. Ooh, hot take from Bob Harris on the show. I'd clip it, right? But yes, we'll consider Chase there as well. Nobody else for me for that one. On the Panthers side, is it getting in something like this where we want to start just the chalk? It's probably getting too cute, right? To go with anybody. Maybe Chubby.
Maybe I think it's I think we're taking our chances here, right? Like if I was going to take a shot on anyone, it's Deontay Johnson, just because I think he'll get a ton of volume and some of the passes will be relatively accurate. I have an issue with Andy Dalton because I've been doing this a long time. You'll be surprised to learn. Some weeks he is the red rifle, some weeks he is the redheaded stepchild. You don't know which one it's going to be until he hits the field. So, like, I'm hopeful. Like, I think better than Bryce Young, sure. It's a pretty low bar.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when we circle back and we can start anybody we want, the questions of Deontay Johnson versus like CeeDee Lamb,
right?
Or already played, but it's like he's probably not going to cut it. But I'll leave him on the options. I'm collecting all of Bob's options here, and then we'll circle back at the end. Next game here: Rams at Bears. 40.5 point over under. Bears favored by 3. So let's start with the Rams.
Kyren Williams is in.
He's got to be in the equation
every single week. Apparently, he will score 3 touchdowns if I disrespect him like I did last week.
You got to be careful with that, dude. Got to be careful. I mean,
you start imagining game scripts and things like that. You find out that nobody cares about the game script you've cooked up in your head once the game plays. Sean McVay, right? Like playing from behind, continues running the ball, runs 2 tight end sets 44% of the time, more than he's done since 2022. This is the 3 receiver heaviest team in the league the last 2 years. And what does he do? And to his credit, right? Great job by him. But not every coach is willing to stick with it at that point, down 14-0. Let's just keep giving it to Kyren. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, dude, not a big guy for halftime adjustments. He's never been. You're like, well, the plan is the plan, and I guess it worked here. But it's crazy because they're all like they're also missing Tyler Higbee. It's not like it's not like they're loaded up with tight ends.
So I think just to be serious for a brief moment. To me, the key to combating early season volatility is volume.
Right.
Kyren Williams is the epitome of that.
I mean, there's very few guys that can play every single snap. It's why I was starting Zach Charbonnet everywhere. We started him in our FFPC lineup last week. For those that haven't joined us, first week doing it because they don't do it the first week. But second week is the first week of this. Dave Kluge and I finished in the money, 3rd. Last week we tried to jump in a 100-person one, and we did not do that great. Justin Boone came on. But the problem was we didn't have Juwan Jennings, and a couple people started him, so it just wasn't going to happen. For us this week, we're going back to the 30-person one. And there's some money to be made here. We'll split it. And what Dave Kluge and I decided to do when we came in 3rd, they give you an option of like getting a buy-in for like one of their events. So we're just going to this offseason do a best ball event. So hopefully we can do another show.
Man. Never enough for you guys, man. Never enough.
Always pushing it forward. So I'm hoping that we take a voucher like that, and then I can lock you in for another show this offseason.
That's a win.
Buccaneer side. Feels like we got to take somebody here.
Wait. The Bears side.
What am I looking at? Oh, the Bears. I skipped the game. So we're on the Rams-Bears, obviously. So the Bears side.
I don't want to be too cute, but I feel like Rome Odunze is a thing, right? And this matchup against turns out you can throw deep against the Rams. I said every team that's played them. And Odunze is turned into kind of the deep threat here. I like Odunze a lot this week.
Okay, he's absolutely on the sheet. He's on the radar. The game that I was alluding to there accidentally, the Eagles and the Buccaneers. This is a 43-point over-under and 1.5 point spread in favor of the Eagles, meaning they think it's going to be a game here for us. So let's start on the Eagles side. If you're going to pull an Eagle, is it Saquon? Is it Saquon Barkley? Yeah, I think it almost has to be. So we'll just pencil him in.
Yeah, although it's interesting, A.J. Brown got to the practice field today. A little interesting. Dallas Goedert has to be, at least under consideration, although this is like the Buccaneers are not great at stopping a lot of things. Right. Tight end might be one of them.
Oddly, yeah. Yeah, Goddard, he's going to probably be the chalk, and maybe we
He
pivot
is.
off that. We'll see.
I'm fine pivoting off that. He is not my play this week.
I'll put him on the sheet. We can only use one player from the team. That's the thing. If this was a situation where like Goddard was the only show in town, it's so much easier.
But Barkley is probably going to dominate this one.
I think you almost have to. You can't not start him. You can't afford to.
Other side of the ball, are we going with Chris Godwin? Is he the only answer possible?
I love Chris Godwin, and I love you, Bob, and I love to have him in the lineup. So that's good.
I'm a big Evans guy, but the slot. And Evans is running some out of the slot, but the Eagles not good at that.
Evans has the harder job.
It's
as simple as that. Like this isn't a ranking of who's the best at football in a vacuum. Football is not played in a vacuum. Mike Evans has to fist fight Marshawn Lattimore. He is the one that goes up against Patrick Surtain. Like that's just the way it goes, right? He makes everyone else's job more easy, and that's why he got so much money. So that's the way that goes. Saints at Falcons will be the game here. 2.5 point spread in favor of the Falcons, which I found interesting.
That is interesting.
42 point over and under.
I'm not going to say it's Darnell Mooney's the only choice here. I'm just saying Darnell Mooney is something you have to consider being the top receiving asset.
Moondog rocks. Moondog rocks, dude. Mooney and Pollard have me wondering if this tightrope surgery brings you back really quick. That's the thing.
Well,
so that's how it works. Is it brings you back quick, but you're not at 100%.
Right. So think of Mark Andrews too. Right.
Mark Andrews came back. Yeah. So that's why people do it. Is you can get back within like 3 months.
But are you really back?
And well, that's the thing is you come back and you can play, but I guess the recovery, the long-term recovery sucks. Like Tony Pollard said he wasn't good until week 11. Jalen Hurts. So my first experience with this was like Jalen Hurts and Tua had it in college, and Mac Jones had the high ankle injury, and they offered to do the surgery, and he, after seeing what they went through, said no. He was like, I'm not doing that. That is crazy business. And if you look up what it is, it's like Tommy John level of invasive. Like they put an actual when they say tightrope, it's because they're putting like a bungee cord in your leg, right? Not to be weird. And we've also seen another player, Jalen Hurts, who we're talking about a couple of years ago, when he had the ankle injury, that was the tightrope, and they had to go in the offseason and take it out. So like, I don't know, man. Something
we all need to pay attention to though going forward is the guy is coming off that last year, coming into a new year. I mean, what did Pollard say? It was week 10 before he felt like he was back to himself. Apparently, Mark Andrews would like to climb. Would like to co-sign on this so far. So
yeah, Moondog definitely did not look right last year, and you know what? He looks great right now.
Yeah,
like he was very close to having 150 yards the game before. Bijan not in consideration in this one?
I don't know. I want to see the injury report before I put him into consideration. Right? He's got the shoulder. It might be nothing. We just don't know because it happened after practice started. The reporters have all been kicked off the field, and nobody seems to have said anything yet today. So,
yeah. On the Saints side, we have Shaheed over 5 last week, but he's a home run hitter. You got Olave. Kamara. I mean, this team, much like the Chargers, they've only thrown 66 times, Bob. So it's like, I feel like I haven't even seen him play.
Again, Kamara is the volume play here. He has gotten the volume. He's done something with it 2 weeks, done less with it the other week. He would be my pick here. I like Shaheed. I like Olave. I don't know if they deserve to be in the pool. I'm open to all 3 of those guys. Yeah. Your call.
I mean, the thing is, I have to see this team be willing to be a real team because you watched the 49ers last year. And according to Pro Football Focus last year, they attempted the fewest passes of any team. So guys had sporadic good games, but when everyone was healthy, it was very thin. And now Clint Kubiak comes over from the 49ers, and they're doing the same thing, very slow paced. The home runs from Rashid Shaheed, I mean, those are very short drives, So it's like, I don't know. It's
you see Rashid though getting 20% target share. Right. That's a real job. Right. So
20, he has a higher target share than CeeDee Lamb, but because of how low they throw, that's only 14 targets.
Right, exactly. And that's the trickeration there that you have to be mindful of. I'm probably more about leaning into the volume of Kamara, but again, I'm open to any of those 3 would suit me.
I like Kamara. 2 quick questions. Ann Dunn wants to know Mostert, if he goes DeAndre Swift, Justice Hill, or Jahan Dotson.
Hi, Ann. That's a hard question.
And Ann's questions are always like the deepest cuts or the other ones Ann has are like, should I start CeeDee Lamb or Amon-Ra St. Brown? She only has 2 types of leagues.
You know who else is like that is Andrea. Andrea will come in like she has these crushing drafts and has the hardest decisions of high-end guys.
Ann's a gamer. She's a baller. So she's gonna have it all.
All of these people out here in the chat are fantastic.
Two of those monsters. I'm worried about Swift. I'm worried Swift is.
I'm worried about Swift. You had a lot of talk about Roschon, but either way, I mean, it's just the Bears' blocking has been miserable, right? Mostert, limited practice. I don't know if we have enough information to say he's going to play. Also, I prefer an offense that's on schedule or not going 1-12 on third down anyway. And I don't know that any of the quarterbacks that they're going to play this week, maybe I feel a little better for Huntley. And I'm sitting here thinking we're talking ourselves into Justice Hill and Jahan Dotson, and it horrifies me. The Jahan Dotson story you tell yourself is the Buccaneers defenses beat to hell, and that's going to be but if AJ Brown's there and Dallas Goedert, does that leave enough room for? I mean, Dotson is probably one of the guys I'm playing here.
Yeah, Dotson's going to be in there, and then you got to circle back on Sunday. But as of this moment, I think
I'm
you just
Swift at this moment.
Hold your nose and put DeAndre Swift in. Yeah, and
that's
hopefully it gets half the work. Another question, then we'll get back into it. Juwan Jennings versus the Patriots. Michael Wilson versus Washington, which I do like.
With McBride out, yep.
Yeah, and then Jerry Jeudy at Las Vegas or Dalton Kincaid at Baltimore. It doesn't no tight end premium. Need 2 of them.
So how encouraged were we by last week with Dalton? I mean,
they had to actually throw, right?
Is that the course correction or is that just an outlier?
What I've seen so far through 2 weeks, you have the Bills threw 42 times, which was very second lowest in the league. And then last week they started throwing and Kincaid scored the touchdown, but then it turned into a blowout. And you know what I mean?
So everybody got a touchdown last week, though. Is that like the special dispensation week? I'm going to play Juwan Jennings over Michael Wilson and over Jerry Jeudy and probably over Dalton Kincaid.
I'm playing Jennings and Michael Wilson, I think.
Yeah.
Michael Wilson, so when you go and look at DVOA for Washington, they're not just terrible against the wide receiver 1, they're also terrible against the wide receiver 2. I think Michael Wilson and Marv are both good plays this week.
And I'm guessing the business decisions come to an end this week, at least for 1 week in Vegas, right? After Antonio Pierce called everybody out.
Exactly, yes. So
all right, I'll go with you on that. I'll go with you on Wilson.
Okay. Back to what we're doing here. Jaguars at Texans.
0 Texans, Jaguars.
Good. They stink, dude.
No, they suck. I'm quoting the man. My source tells me they suck, and my source is Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say Mike Dempsey.
No, Mike Dempsey knows also, though. He would probably agree.
Yes.
Offensive line play is just not happening.
They're in big trouble, man. They're in big trouble. And
CJ Stroud.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish Tank Dell was playing because the Jaguars safeties are brutal. It's like we're missing some of these great matches. It would be such a good Tank Dell matchup with these safeties. Antonio Johnson is obviously filling in for Darnell Savage. It's like they've been bad. They've been real bad. And it would have been a perfect situation for Dell, but I don't know if he's going to go.
So we know Mixon got to practice today.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying the linebacker situation in Jacksonville is bad. Alao is out. Who else is gone?
That's like the whole team. Just him is the entire half the defense.
Right. Well, he's the one who lines him up, and that causes him all kinds of problems.
Yeah, he's a tackle machine, dude. There is someone else that's out. It's escaping me right now.
Devin Lloyd.
Devin Lloyd. Yeah. So that's brutal. I mean, but let's just go. I think we should go Stroud. We get access to the entire team, right?
Worked for me.
Yeah. Okay. Next one here. Let's look at the Vikings and the Packers. The Packers are favored here, -2.5 and 43.5 point over under. So I feel like you got to pull somebody out of these games. Is it just Jefferson?
Well, it's for sure Jefferson. I mean, Aaron Jones, is this not a good matchup for Aaron Jones?
No, it's not. And then on the Packers side,
it's a revenge game. Michael Fabiano's out there yelling at us. It's a revenge game. Okay, I'm not in on that either.
The Aaron Jones revenge game? There's so many revenge games this week, but I don't know. It's got to be Jefferson. On the Packers side, I don't know if there's a wide receiver that really jumps.
It's probably Jacobs for me.
Yeah, if we got to do one.
If we got to do one, do we got to do one?
No, I'll put it on the sheet, and then at the end we'll go back through. Yeah. So next game here, Steelers Colts.
Not Anthony Richardson. Probably like it's a tough defensive matchup. I don't know if I really need to force any Colts into the lineup this week.
No.
And just for the record, everyone who knows, I drafted all the Anthony Richardson shares. Yes, I'm probably still playing him in most of those leagues, unless I drafted Jaden Daniels as my second quarterback. But none of the rest of you have share in my obligation. So the rest of you have, let me write out a permission slip.
I have so many of those spots where I'm just like, people are asking me about start sits about players that I drafted, and I'm just on my teams, I'm just biting the bullet. And I'm just starting the guys that I believe in.
Me too.
But to a certain degree with other people, I say, hey, you know what? Like, here's the deal. Well, you don't have to start them. I'm gonna.
Right. I hope that in leagues where I've drafted risky players or players that had that kind of, huge upside, but also risk, that I compensated for that by drafting really solid rosters around them with a good combination of players with high floors and a little bit of ceiling too. And so far, it's holding up well. I'm more successful than not on the season, and Anthony Richardson is not a reason why, but he's not a reason I'm not either. So
same thing with me with like Kyle Pitts and a bunch of these guys. It's just like I'm just starting them. And the thing with me is, and you as well, is we spend so
I sold them.
Right. Yeah, we spend so much time this offseason trying to like find all these breakouts and these different guys. My benches are loaded with guys that I like. So on the leagues where I paid the price for Richardson or Kyle Pitts, I'm not rostering 2 quarterbacks. I'm not rostering 2 tight ends at this stage.
Right.
Like once bye weeks come, or if panic really sets in, I will make a move. But I got too many guys on my benches that I love. Like, you know what I mean? It's like I could have dropped Wan'Dale Robinson or Josh Downs or some of these guys that I've been stashing, but then where would I be? Now I would just have 2 bad quarterbacks and I wouldn't have these breakouts. So it's a balancing act. It's a balancing act, 100%. On the Steelers side,
I could play Harris, I could play Fields, I could play Pickens.
Yeah, nice.
I could.
Speaking of Harris,
that I would.
Yeah, speaking of Harris, I named our team last week. Our team was Cooper Boone Charcoal. That sounds like a charcoal company, right? Cooper Boone. Ours this week is Harris Cooper's day off.
I like it. I like it.
It's a bit of a stretch, but we're there.
Like I usually try to be very supportive of all the Harrises when I'm setting my lineups. In this case, the Colts defense would cooperate with us. But again, don't need to force the issue. I think George Pickens is a decent play. I think Pat Freiermuth is a decent play. I mean, the Colts defense has not been good. If any of those tickle your fancy, I'm fine with any of them.
Yeah, I like Muth for redraft leagues and all that. For this, the problem we run into is it's tight end premium. So we want to focus more on target guys.
I play.
Yeah, I wish Russell Wilson would get in there, but team's undefeated. So it's not going to happen. Next game here, we have the Patriots, my New England Patriots. Hottest team in football, 10.5-point dogs against the 49ers. Despite them missing a couple star players. I'm assuming no Patriots, so they'll just skip right by that.
Okay.
Why? Who would you want to start?
No, I don't want to, but I mean, I could start Ramondre Stevenson pretty much any week. I don't know that I want to. I'm just saying I could.
You just gave me permission to put a Patriots player on the sheet. I will do so.
I didn't give you that permission. I know you. I think that's too easy for you.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. 49er side, we kind of have to have somebody probably.
Is it Juwan Jennings or is it? I mean, are we going to go too far with this?
We might just have Jordan Mason. Has got to be it. Right?
Mason is it.
Good. Like we want to do the chalk and then like a matchup that we like. Like even like last couple of weeks, starting somebody like Chris Godwin is because a lot of people go in and they're not used to this format and they just play the insane chalk. And it never works out that way. Like teams first week, one of the teams that was at the bottom was like Tyreek Hill, Lamb. You know what I mean? They just started like Hill, Lamb, Chase, and it was like I know your brain wants to do that, but it doesn't always work like that.
My brain wants to do a lot of things that don't work. It's crazy.
Exactly. Yeah, we've gone through it all, through the ringer. Okay, next one here: Commanders, Cardinals. 3.5-point spread in favor of the Cardinals. 50-point over under. So we need players for this.
Jane Daniels.
Yeah.
I like Brian Robinson Jr. too, and I like Terry McLaurin as well. On the other side of the ball, I like Kyler Murray, and you got to like Marvin Harrison Jr. too.
I think what we're going to do here to make our lives easier, Bob, is that you can only start one player from each team. Let's just start Marv, and then we don't have to confuse ourselves with this Kyler Murray business.
Fair enough. And then we can start. We can have Daniels in the conversation as well.
Unless you want to start Elijah Higgins.
I do not.
Worth a shot.
I'm not against someone. Somebody just asked me about that. Somebody's Jimmy Scalia. I'm going to throw him under the bus there. Me and Scalia were texting about this. Our producer, one of our producers, is serious.
Jimmy.
And he had a choice, but I don't think it's too cute. I think it's a little cute, but I don't think it's too cute. Like for this format, it's too cute.
Yeah, it is too cute for this format. For if you play on some of those other sites that have salaries and stuff, that's when you use Elijah Higgins.
Exactly.
Yeah. Another question from the Twitch gang. Twitch glasses for the Twitch gang. Would you really trade Jamar Chase for Achane? So that's a big dog trade, but it makes sense because it's a wide receiver for a running back.
Right. I probably wouldn't do that, but feel free. I mean, I think it's a fair trade.
Keep Chase. Yeah, but if you're loaded at wide receiver, then
if you're loaded at wide receiver and there are more guys than you can play, you don't have enough running backs. Yes.
Right. But like if you're trading away Jamar Chase, you should be dreaming a little bigger, maybe. You know
probably
what I mean?
So.
Like he's
ask
so
for another
good.
Piece.
Yeah. Ask for another piece or ask for like Alvin Kamara. You know what I mean? Like go for somebody who's just like locked in superstar and that doesn't have Tyler.
Yeah, I think the quarterback play is going to be an issue until it's not in Miami. And while I think there are plays there that are quarterback proof, like Tyreek Hill, you're still going to roll him out every week, people. You don't have a choice. He can take it to the house any single play. But Achane's the same. But as I said earlier, the concern is the offense being on schedule to get the volume we need for him to do better. And also, he's averaging like 3.5 yards a carry. That's like half of what he was averaging per carry last year, which was probably not sustainable. I'm going to say that almost 8 yards a carry, but 3.5 probably needs to pick up the pace a little bit too. And I don't know if he's getting the volume while he's running at that level. One of the
understated problems for Mostert and Achane is that the Panthers gave Robert Hunt $100 million, right? Like when you lose a player like that, we
start playing up to that a little more too, by the way.
Right. What you said?
I might want to start doing a better job too, by the way. Carolina would tell you. All right.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, I mean, maybe not worth $100 million, but just it's like sometimes we underrate the guys in the trenches a little bit. And wants to know Fields or Purdy. Boy,
I'd probably play Fields this week.
Yeah. I mean, Fields is Fields. That's the thing.
The problem so far is he's like giving you about 3 yards a carry so far, right? At some point, I would expect that to change. And if it's going to change, the Colts might be the team that is going to change against. They haven't done much at stopping the run. Right. So, but also, if they could run the ball well, I don't know how much, they need Fields to run. If Najee Harris is getting, and Najee Harris, that great duo of Harris and Patterson. Cordero Patterson gonna light it up this week, maybe.
I was so disappointed when the Patriots traded that pick away and didn't take Cordero Patterson. I was like, we should have taken him. He was going to Patriots wide receiver 1. I think we dodged a bullet there. I think we ended up taking Devin McCourty instead.
I think so.
So I think that worked out okay for us. Okay, let's get back in here.
Fields for me, Ann.
Fields in. Yeah. Chiefs and Chargers. This is the one we kind of alluded to earlier. Can the Chargers continue to not throw it in the face of the monster? Chiefs are 7.5 point favorites, 39.5 point over under. So Vegas expecting the Chargers to lie down and go to sleep.
History tells me that Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh do not care about game scripts. They like to run the football.
Yeah, it's true. They don't care. They do not. They'll run it into the dirt. So I don't know. I don't know if I want to start any Chargers here.
I don't either. Chiefs side, I want to start Rashee Rice, but I also want to start Travis Kelce.
I want to start Travis Kelce, and I think that solves our tight end problem. Okay. And I'll tell you what. I know we can't always go and say, oh, historical games. It was good years ago, whatever. But these teams play twice a year, right? Kelce did not play one of the games against them last year. The last 3 out of 4 times Kelce's played the Chargers, he scored 35 plus PPR points.
Right. But just beyond that, the narrative here, like the 3 games, his worst 3 game stretch in forever. all the underlying metrics that are suggesting that he's running all the routes, he's getting all the right targets, the 1 yard, the tackle at the 1 yard line in week 2. Like all the things point to like this far from being actually Travis Kelce. And with all the talk out there, it's hard to think that they're not hearing it and they don't want to turn Travis Kelce back into Travis Kelce, at least for a brief moment.
100%. And on top of all of that, Taylor Swift and her people, they've reached out to the NFL and they said, what can you do here? And the NFL said, we can suspend Derwin James for just this one game.
That helps.
Right? We'll suspend all pro safety Derwin James. And he's suspended for, they were saying it was a helmet-to-helmet on Pat Freiermuth, but we know it's all Kelce's.
Who is this Taylor Swift you speak of? Never heard of it.
He
sounds like a great person.
She wasn't at Headbangers Ball?
No, she was not on Headbangers
She was not at that one. Okay, yeah, no, she's never been at any concerts I've been to because the tickets are too expensive. But Ani Coop and I have watched some of her shows here on the couch with Lainey, and those are enjoyable. Okay, that's it for that game. This game might be a quick one as well. Who is exciting you in this Browns-Raiders game? 37-point over-under, 1.5 point favorites the Raiders are.
Well, we've taken care of the tight end. Brock Bowers would be of interest to me on the Raiders side of the football, but like Devontae Adams, I want to see what's up with his hamstring before I make any firm commitments there. Probably nobody else. I'm going to come out now. I'm going to make an announcement here. I am even giving myself permission to bench Zamir White. Someone who I was in on all offseason based on the Antonio Pierce's desire. Like Antonio Pierce still wants him to get those 20 carries.
Yes.
It doesn't matter at this point. Yeah. I mean, this is going to take a great course reversal, huge course correction before I can put him in lineup. So I just want to come out and throw that out there to all my loyal listeners and followers who have heard me push the Zamir White narrative throughout the course of the summer. Even I must now acknowledge that it's time to take a break.
I got Zamir White on a team where I went 0 RB, and I need him bad. I guess they're averaging 50 rush yards a game. Nobody's averaging less than 70. So for now, you don't drop them, just put them on the bench because
That's exactly, and that's true too. And I'm doing the same thing with Gus Edwards, and I mean, there's plenty of players who I have invested in over at reasonable prices. Like we weren't overpaying for Zamir White, right?
No, he was cheap.
Getting a great price, so you hold on to him. And do what you will. I'll also go out on a limb here and say I want 0 Browns on my.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
Your guy, none of your guy Jerry Jeudy. The Browns, they thought they could just collect misfits from all the other teams. Even Amari Cooper's been a cast off, and Jerry Jeudy and Elijah Moore and Deshaun Watson. They thought that would work. Imagine such a thing, Bob. Imagine such a thing. It's not working. All right. In this game, we got to have some people. Bills, Ravens. This is the night game.
I mean, Josh Allen has to be on the list of possibilities every single week, right?
Superstar, super mega star.
I mean, I would say Cook has to be on the list, but doesn't have to be played. On the Ravens side of the ball, I'm probably gonna, like, we want to throw Lamar. We want to throw Lamar on the list just to say no to him.
Yeah, but just out of respect to him, we'll put him on the list.
Yeah, out of respect. And I'm putting Derrick Henry on my list every single week.
Yep.
The game script is helping, and then he is going to be hurting the opposition.
Respect to the king. We'll put him on the list.
Respect the king. Well done. Yes, I like that.
King. So we have 2 Monday night games again. Hooray. I can't wait for the London games. I want football all the time. Titans, Dolphins.
0 Dolphins, outside of, playing showdown games and going totally contrary, and there is no reason to play a Dolphin.
Just double tap it, Bob. Just 0 Dolphins, 0 Titans.
I'm good with that. 36 point
over under.
No. I'm good with that.
Cool. Good. Next one here, Lions, Seahawks. 33.5 point over under, 46.5 point spread. We're going to have a player from the Lions, I think. And
I think I mean, we could, you take your choice. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Gibbs, Montgomery.
The thing with Monty and Gibbs is that we want supreme upside.
Then we don't have it.
We don't have it. So I think it's Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I think on the Seahawks side, I really like this matchup for JSN. And I think that could differentiate us a little bit. Lions have been brutal against slot wide receivers.
I will give you this one because I'm not against it.
But you're the guest, so you
not against
you have ultimate veto power.
No vetoes here. I'm not against this.
Who else? Metcalf.
I mean, Metcalf's got to be in the conversation.
He's been so big and so good. Why is he so big, Bob?
I don't know why he's so big, and why does he jump so high? It's crazy.
Why is he so big and strong? It's so funny. You hear him, and he's like, "Here's my day. I wake up at 4 a.m. and I don't have anything but a coffee until noon. Then I eat a bag of gummy worms." And then you look at this guy, and you're like, "How is this possible? Like, what the heck? Doesn't make any sense, Bob."
It makes no sense. And nothing I see him do makes a lot of sense. Like the standing start, jump, leap up 30 feet in the air for the football, all those things. So, so I think he should be under consideration every week. Like I think you could make an argument that Jameson Williams, if you're like shooting for the moon, but if we already, if I was choosing between multiple players on the Lions, I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown's always going to be the choice.
Yeah. Well, let's see how cute we get. We finished the game previews. Let's hit a couple questions and then let's get in and knock this out.
All right.
Let's say that Adams is okay. Let's say Adams is questionable, but he plays. Devontae Adams or Moondog?
Well, you can play Mooney if you're worried. I mean, the question is the this is the quintessential fantasy question. Would it be crazy to? No, not crazy based on what we've seen up to this point this season.
My brain don't like it, but
I mean, I wouldn't do it if Devontae Adams is healthy. I'm probably playing Devontae Adams 10 out of 10 times.
If he's playing, I'm playing Adams, but
right. But if he goes into this game as questionable and you don't feel good about it, Mooney is a fair pivot if that's how you feel about it. And I like Nathan has framed the question how he sees it. Yeah, I'm worried about Adams. Like if that's how you're framing the question, then Mooney is a reasonable pivot based on the fact that he scores about 15 fantasy points a game, right? I mean, it's not like you're plugging in a nobody or what's been a nobody.
100%. Poison Oak has a couple questions. Baker or Geno? This is an interesting
Baker.
One. Baker, okay. I like Geno's matchup, but Baker.
I like Geno's matchup, but I don't like the pass rush.
Yeah, Baker's good, man. Like, we're going to have to admit that Baker Mayfield's a good player.
Like last week was a clinker. I don't think he has 2 in a row.
No. He has another tough one here. Again, in a vacuum, this is an easy question. With Patrick Surtain, it is now a difficult question. So, Garrett Wilson, Amari Cooper, or T. Higgins? T. Higgins was very close to making some big plays. Very close. But like,
I would probably go Higgins here.
Yeah, it was like Ayuk's first game back where it was like, not quite. Like the Ayuk diving in the back of the end zone. You see Higgins make that one-handed grab he made on the sideline.
Right. It was closer for Higgins, I thought, than Ayuk the first game. I thought. And like until I see this Cleveland offense show some signs of clicking in the best of circumstances, I'm not going to count on them when I'm in a tough circumstance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Wilson, honestly, these are the toughest decisions, right? Because you drafted somebody to be your wide receiver 1. You probably burnt a first round pick or an early second round pick to land him. And it hurts to sit that guy. You do have options. So I think it's worth considering just based on what we've seen. Again, 59 routes, 10 fantasy points against Pat Surtain 2.
Yeah, it's brutal. And I tell you, Garrett Wilson,
it hasn't been great for him either. He's like wide receiver, 30 right now? Yeah. So
every time I see him, he looks like he's gotten smaller. What is with the sleeves? He's wearing like the quarterback sleeves, and it's not aesthetically pleasing.
I thought we saw, though, like at least a little step forward last week.
But he scored at the very end of the game.
Right. That's true.
Right. He pulled the old Drake London, where it's
true.
Very end, you sneak in there. Olave and Flowers traded for Gibbs. Very short at RB, but I feel like you're giving up quite a bit.
An overpay, but sometimes you have to overpay to get to balance out your team. I mean, when you're at a point where you can't start all the players at a position on your roster and you don't have enough at another position, it's fair to make some lopsided trades if it really works to your advantage. But it has to be I'm thinking to let go of those 2 receivers, you would have to have a ton of depth.
Yeah, your team would have to be a wagon. But some 8 or 10 team leagues,
that's true.
Those are the teams. That's where you make a big difference. AJ Brown. So he's got AJ Brown, Nico, Deontay, and Flowers. Let's say hypothetically all the guys play. Is it just AJ Brown and Nico?
Oh, see, did Nico practice today yet? Have we heard that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I know. He turned up yesterday. I think he'll be fine.
Circle back on that one. JSN versus Shakir. I like JSN.
I'll go with that as well.
Yeah, and shout out to the Twitch glasses for the Twitch gang. Thank you guys for tuning in on Twitch. If you're watching on Twitch and Twitter, that's very cool. But if you can get over to the YouTube and throw us a like and a subscribe over there, boy, would that be even cooler. And guess what? It's free and it supports us. So appreciate you guys for doing something like that. Let's see. Is that everything here? Last one, and then two last ones, and then let's get into making this lineup. Gino or Jalen Hurts from the Dino Fontaine?
I don't feel good about Jalen Hurts this week. I know the projection is high of football guys because it is going to be every week. I'm not in on Hurts. Like I don't know 100% that I would start Gino over him. I probably would still start Hurts here because I would feel stupid if I didn't. But I don't have a great feeling about Hurts, so I get the question.
Yeah, I like Gino, but again, I feel the same way, but I just can't rank Hurts outside of my top 10. And I have I think I have Gino at like 11, QB 11, so I have him higher than we typically have him. But
yeah, you do have him higher than me.
Yeah, but it's a good matchup for him. But it's like there's just too many good options to move Gino, even with a good matchup in a prime time.
How is the offensive line feeling in Seattle? Why do I think it was not okay?
They're missing George Fant, is why you feel like it's not okay.
Aiden Hutchinson would like you to know that's probably not great.
It's not going to be good. George Fant has had the craziest career trajectory ever. If you go and look up George Fant college highlights, folks, you know what you'll find? Basketball highlights from like Western Kentucky. And then he converted to a tight end and then converted to an offensive tackle. And now he's like a pretty good offensive tackle. It's just, this guy's just a monster. He's just a freak athlete, but it's just so crazy. Watching him do like reverse layups and stuff. It's just wild. So, all right, let's get in. Let's make this lineup, dude. Here's what we're doing today, folks. FFPC lineup. Bob and I went through every matchup. We pulled out the super megastars. We pulled out the sneaky guys we think could be megastars this week. Now we're going to make a lineup. If you want to make a lineup, go to myffpc.com. Use promo code Coop. They'll give you $25 when you deposit $35 or more. And you can get in there and make some lineups yourself. The way this works, unlike all these other sites where it's like a draft or you have all these salaries, no draft, no salaries. Start anyone you want. The only caveat is you can't start two players from the same team. So if we go in there and we start Saquon Barkley, we can't start Jalen Hurts. The good news, Bob doesn't like Jalen Hurts and he likes Saquon Barkley. So boom, there's our first player.
Easy call.
Saquon Barkley's in there. I also have another player highlighted here as somebody we both agreed we wanted to play. So I will make it easy on us and put Mr. Travis Kelce in the lineup. Now that doesn't mean that we can't start another tight end in the flex because this is tight end premium. Let's just see how things work out.
Right. So we should acknowledge though, this is both of us like feeling like totally hunchy about this,
Oh,
like,
yeah. Absolutely. Totally. Like we're telling our
lockstep.
When we talked about, if you rewind to when we talked about Travis Kelce, there was minimal numbers, but boy, were the feelings good. Yes. Boy, were the feelings good. And the numbers are there behind the scenes. And I think this is a get right game for this player. He can't look stupid in front of his girlfriend every week. That's just crazy. Okay.
My girlfriend would like you to know that that's entirely possible.
It's entirely possible. Breece Hall. Okay. Let's start with running backs here. These are the running backs that we highlighted. Stop me when there's a name that you say we got to do it. Breece Hall against the Broncos. Zach Moss against the Panthers.
Breece Hall.
I think we got to go Breece Hall, man. He's so cool.
Yeah, I'm my number one back. He and Barkley are 1 and 2 for me.
Okay, who do you have
number 3?
Let's do that right now then. Let's do Kamara too.
Okay.
Because I really like that as well. Kamara's so awesome. Other guys that we had highlight. Okay, well, since we just loaded 3 running backs in, let's pivot over to wide receiver then. Okay.
All right.
We went with Marv, so we don't have to go with Kyler Murray. So I think we're getting Marvin Harrison in there, right?
Godwin, I think we both love.
Yes. He's the best. And everybody else out there, just so you know, Chris Godwin has a charity where every time he catches a pass, money goes to help dogs that are in shelters. So if you root against Chris Godwin, you're rooting against dogs that don't have homes.
Dogs.
Why do you hate dogs? What's the matter with you, Chris?
Amon Ra.
The one thing about the huge miss with this charity, they could have named it Chris Godwin's Dog Win Charity. And
I see what you did there. Okay.
Despite me tweeting it multiple times.
Always marketing. Always got the marketing.
I'm like, Godwin, reverse it, Dog Win. I'm like, come on now.
Dogs win.
I've sent them a lot. They've never responded to one of my emails on that topic.
Damn it.
I know, dude. So we got to start a campaign.
Are we going there? Are we going to Monroe too?
I'll put him in there. So here's where we're at now. We need 2 more flexes and then place kicker and defense. I want to do place kicker and defense after the fact. We should probably go look at quarterback here. The teams that we have not used yet, where a quarterback is on the table, are the Texans with CJ Stroud, the Commanders with Jaden Daniels, the Bills with Josh Allen, and a big shout out to Lamar Jackson with the Ravens. So it's one of those 4 guys, Bob, and you have to make that decision.
Jaden Daniels.
Yes. That's all we need to differentiate ourselves from everyone else, Bob. That's all we need. We can start straight up full on chalk. Based on what I've seen with these lineups, if you have 2 players that are kind of even slightly off the beaten path, or even just one, you can go full chalk. So we can go full chalk with these last 2 flexes if you want.
All right. Who we got?
Okay. So we've already used Eagles. We still have available to us if possible. Okay. So I'm going to circle back to some games with high over-unders where we've not used players. The Bengals-Panthers game is a 47-point over-under. And we could use Chase Brown if we want. We could use Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase. Yeah. As opposed to Zach Moss. Do it.
Yeah. So we can use Jamar Chase, which I think that feels really good. Another game with a high over-under that we have not used any player from would be the Bills-Ravens.
King Henry?
Puts us in a weird spot. Could be the King.
How do we feel that game's going to play out?
So let me just hit the names real quick of players that we could use. We could use Kyron Williams. We could use Bijan. We could use Justin Jefferson. We could use.
I'm going to say Justin Jefferson if we're using. I'm saying we're skipping around.
Let's just put Chase. We have Jaden Daniels in there. We can start Chase and Jefferson if we want.
Yeah.
Right. So now we need a kicker. Maybe we use a Bills or Ravens kicker here. Justin Tucker get right game.
Is it a get right game? Is he fixed the problem?
I don't know. I've been using Aubrey.
Yeah, he
played already.
He broke his string last night, right?
No. Stinks now.
Yeah, let's go ahead and go Tucker.
Is that
like are we Kelseying ourselves into this one? Like it's just been so bad, it's got to get better.
These guys rock, dude. Or we could just use the Bengals. I know we use Chase.
Yeah, we could. I don't want to use Tyler Bass.
I don't want to use Tyler Bass either. Let's use Tucker. And then we need what do you mean I have no lineup spots? What are you talking about? Oh, that's Trey Tucker. Silly. All right. Defenses here. Luckily, it highlights the defenses that the teams we've not used. So here are the options for defense. Green Bay against Minnesota, Chicago against the Rams, Buffalo at Baltimore, we're not doing that. Pittsburgh at Indy.
Hello.
Yeah, I think that might be the one because we're not going to go. We can't go Chargers, Chiefs.
No.
We're not going to start Seattle.
No.
We're not going to start Indy.
No.
Cleveland at Las Vegas. Myles Garrett's banged up. Myles Garrett has like 5 injuries.
I think we've already talked ourselves into Pittsburgh almost.
Houston's kind of a mob against Jacksonville.
Houston against Jacksonville is a good one, right?
San Francisco, New England also.
Either of those. Either those 3 we've narrowed it down.
Chat, what do you think? First one in chat to answer. San Francisco, Houston, or
is this the week that the Colts just say to Anthony Richardson, run, don't even try and throw the ball? So
that's what I've been trying to start defenses against the Packers, and it hasn't been working because of that exact reason, Bob. They're not throwing, because you need sacks and you need interceptions and you need fumbles.
Houston might be the one. What's the chat say?
What's the chat say? Chat hasn't said anything. Speak up, chat. Scampers, give us a defense, dude. What's going on?
No one's going to use Kyron? I know.
Scamper says San Francisco against my Patriots. I don't think that's crazy.
I don't either.
I think that's actually the chalk. Okay, that's it. Here's the lineup, folks. This is how cool playing on this website is. This is the lineup we've made in a thing where it's us against 30 people. We can win hundreds of dollars. Our lineup is Jaden Daniels at quarterback. Our running backs are Breece Hall, Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara. Our wide receivers are Chris Godwin, Marvin Harrison, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Our tight end, controversial pick, Travis Kelce. our kicker, Justin Tucker, bounce back, get right opera singer game. And then we've picked the San Francisco 49ers defense as 10.5-point favorites against New England. You can make a lineup just like this, maybe like ours and slightly better in the same contest if you want. Go to myffpc.com, use promo code Coop. They'll give you $25 when you deposit 35 or more. Bob Harris, dude, you rock. You rock and roll, man. You're the best, dude. Radio superstar.
Appreciate you having me on, Coop.
Yeah, coolest, man. Tell everybody what you got. Hall of Famer. Like, we could do this all day. Why don't you just tell everybody what you got going on, where they can find more of your insights?
You can hear me on Sirius XM on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 p.m. to midnight. Saturdays, 8 to 11 on both NFL Radio and the Fantasy Channel. Sunday, the pregame show. Me and Jeff Mans chopping it up, taking you right up to kickoff, giving you all the inactives, running through Jeff's core for all kinds of good fun there. Every weekday, the Daily Update podcast, 10 minutes of NFL news with fantasy analysis to start your day. It's out there at 5:30 every morning. Go get some of that. My fantasy notebook, totally free at Football Guys. Every Thursday, Gary Davenport and I do a nice little kind of a polarizing players piece every week, a collaboration. And then my in and out, where I get a little bit edgy and do crazy things and make everybody really nervous on Saturday. So check that out, people. And also my live stream Saturday. Ask Me Anything, 11 a.m. every Saturday, an hour of just talking football, doing your questions. Ask me anything. We can talk guitars, my cat, my anything, or your lineups. And then on the hot seat on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. as well. And Coop, you'll be getting the invite there soon too.
I'm ready, dude. I don't know if I've been on the hot seat before.
You were on the hot seat last year at football, the Football Diehards version.
Okay, good. Because I've come on the shows at night and stuff, and
yep.
And that's always a blast, dude. My team, I can't believe I got sniped on Chris Godwin in that stupid draft. I've been reeling. So, I know it doesn't matter.
Came on and did the one and done last week, so like he followed, like you guys are both getting it in early. So you get all the best choices.
I use the strategy on that. Everybody, you guys know where to find me, so I'm not going to take more of your time. Follow Bob Harris. Listen to what he says. Dude rocks. You guys rock. Thanks for joining us. Have a good weekend. Defeat your foes and your friends.